Hello, hello, digital pioneers. Modern Mystic Sky here, and I'm bringing you another dose of Moon Day medicine. And my guest today, who's going to be joining us, is a dear sister and amazing burlesque performer, among many other incredible creative endeavors that she is a part of and creating regularly. And Gaea at Gaea Lady is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes to chat a lot about being a creative during these times and really chatting about specifically like the pivots and the shifts she's had to make in order to show up in these digital spaces as a performer and someone who is working in the live realms. So I look forward to sharing this conversation with you, and here she is. So let's bring her on. Yay. Let's see. Is it working? Connecting.
Hi.
Hi.
It's so good to see you.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome to see you. It's so colorful in the background. Yes,
I know.
I
I
love
wanted
this.
to set up in front of my silk veil so you could see the rainbow.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it. That like caught my eye right away. Yeah, I was just kind of
Hmm.
giving like a tiny little intro on you and who you are and what you're about as a burlesque performer and the silk creatrix that you are, and all of those great things. Hi, Melissa.
Melissa!
We love you.
I love you.
I know. All the love right here. Yay. So good. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because over this last year, I've been like, we connected through Temple Body Arts. I've gotten to know you that way, but I've really watched your journey online. Like, I've really been paying attention to the ways that you have been navigating these spaces, and I've been totally blown away. Like, as someone who is seriously, as someone, I mean, I can only imagine. I have a lot of questions because I can only imagine as someone who, live performance has kind of been your thing, and I know you do the fire retreats and things like that,
Hmm.
to like have to completely take your business into a totally new like way of expressing, being, sharing, building, and
Hmm.
all of that has just been like remarkable what I've watched you navigate. And so, I mean,
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah, that's like what, well, it's just so fascinating to me, because it's like really using this technology in a different way. And for you as a performer, like I can imagine, I've been thinking about this too of like, I mean, you're a performer, so like being visible to a certain degree, right? Like
Very.
I would assume you have some sort of comfortability with that already and
Hmm.
whatnot, but then, translating it in this whole different language and being able to get this, like, your intention across, the energy across, and all of that, like, it's like, how have you been navigating that? How have you been doing that? I'm
Oof.
curious.
So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because it is something that was I was so resistant to. A bunch of my friends and students had been asking me to go online and, and like teach online and be really present. And I was really happy with my Instagram presence, my website. I'm like, that's enough. It's fine. I don't have to teach online classes. Like I was thriving and driving so hard with all of the in-person performances and retreats and really focusing my energy on getting people to show up physically. And so I remember one day I had actually gotten stuck in New Orleans when everything shut down.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't a bad thing. I was with amazing friends and they had a burlesque, like my friend Bella Blue has the New Orleans School of Burlesque and had just bought a building. So I was able to stay there and we were just
Uh-huh.
like processing all of this, and I was like, okay, I can just like rent a car and drive home from New Orleans. It'll be fine. And
Right.
I remember Bella and I, who is also a live burlesque performer, and her partner AJ is like does the tech for all their shows. So all of us were just out of work like this. And
It's
so
just like, it's just, Wow.
It was
Yeah.
it was nuts. I remember us like we were laying on the floor and we were counting the tips, like the physical dollar tips from our last show, and we were like, this is the last time we're going to do this for a long time. And that's the last time I actually counted tips
Wow.
since March, you know? And so like
Yeah.
just like that strangeness of having to shift. And so I remember like maybe a week or 2 weeks later, I turned around and I told Belle, I'm like, I'm gonna have to start teaching online. I need to do it. I need to do it. And I just remember this resolve that came through. So it was something I'd been so resistant against. I was like, how can I do this? How can I do this? I'm like, I have to learn. And so that began this huge pivot that you're speaking with me about like showing up online and being seen online. And I had to learn how to teach online. I taught like private lessons and, you know, I've always been teaching, but teaching online is so different. Like the world of live streaming and sound and video and audio, like all of this that I had always just let the experienced people and techs handle whenever I would be hired to come do a online workshop or a show. Like I would have a tech team to do it and I would just get to show up. And so
Right.
the pivot of being like the creator and the creatrix to like having to understand the whole back end of it has I think been the biggest pivot, has been a
Interesting.
really just like it made me I had to like I was still creating, but I wasn't able to create in the same way because I was like, my brain was so filled with all this tech.
Right.
And so that was fascinating. So
Yeah.
I got
Well,
really, I got
okay.
really into my physical practice
Okay.
in
Yeah.
order to like offset the technical stuff. But what were you going to ask?
I was gonna ask, like, how has your creativity shifted then? Like you said, you've kind of had to expand that like or shift that process of how you show up and how you create. Is there anything that stands out to you as like, wow, I've really had to create differently because I'm working with this tech in these ways, or like what was like maybe some breakthrough pieces to get over that hurdle of showing up online and teaching online?
hmm
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the big breakthroughs was realizing that I already had my Patreon together.
Mm.
And I had started the Patreon in August with the help of my incredible human assistant, Team Pussy Power, Amanda Tron. And I see a bunch of my humans tuning in here, Kato
Yay!
and Kat, Sun.
Awesome. I love
Um,
it.
ooh, and the Untamed Barefoot Blonde. Tons of great humans. But
Welcome, welcome.
and all these humans know me as like in person, right? And so the big breakthrough was like realizing that I had assistants and that I could learn these things. I learned a lot from Sophia, who's been doing this and also telling me to do this for so long. And I was just like, okay, fine. Um,
Yeah.
and I felt so supported because as you witnessed, I was just like blasting myself out there, and a bunch of my tech friends literally gifted me knowledge and would like sit down and have a call with me and just answer my questions and help me troubleshoot and like think of different ways to
Yeah. Oh my
do.
gosh. When I'm hearing you say this, what's like coming through for me too is kind of what I think a big lesson for a lot of us last year, and I think is going to be huge going into this year in the digital spaces, is like support, like having like people and resources and calling upon each other and like working with each other, collaborating and like pooling all those resources together of like, hey, I'm like creative, I got this whole thing, and then okay, cool, here's my people like you're talking about that like can give you some of that back end tech support, and how we can like really come together more in these spaces to just build out our platforms, build out our business, and beyond that,
Hmm
really building, building upon like our mission and our purpose. And I think one of the things that I really feel from you, and I see in the Pussy Magic program that's coming out and all of this, it's like, this, it's a transformation that we're offering too when we show up here. Like when we really show
hmm
our full presence and we really bring our medicine into these spaces, that opportunity to really share with a lot of people.
hmm
And
And I
do
know
you,
that's what you're all about too. Like I love witnessing you encouraging people to show up and helping like mentor humans into showing up as their full selves online and offline. That's what pretty much everything I would do in my performances and my retreats and like teachings was. And so it's so cool too to also resonate with you because that's what you're helping humans do, but in this whole other online interstellar portal web sphere.
Right. I think that's what so inspired me about seeing the way that you show up is because I can feel that deeper intention from you too. Like, it's not, yeah, there's like building our businesses and creating sustainability in a new, like a new economy, a new way of being, and with limited, limitations placed on us in terms of being live. But like, just everything you're speaking to, and you've been speaking to a lot about censorship too, on your platform, which I've been really tracking, like your experience with that, especially because I know the content you share is definitely probably content that gets a little more, tuned in by Instagram.
I like being a naked lady on Instagram.
I like it too.
Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, so really quick, but photos and posts that have almost like that push that borderline of nudity get the most engagements.
Right.
Yet they're also the ones that are most apt to get censored. It's like that's what people want, but that's also what they don't want us to see. It's just like the patriarchy and its control to a T. It's me.
No, and actually like something I've witnessed conversations around too a lot, just like especially in like more like spiritual community and stuff like that of like, and I don't know if you have anything to say about this because I kind of get a little when I hear people talking about this, but like people saying like using the body in that way and like showing and revealing our bodies, it's like you said, it gets more engagement. So people tend to think, oh, you're just doing it to get engagement. You're just doing it to get eyes on you. And I think someone like you could probably really speak to that really clearly. Is like, actually, no. And I mean, I've had to do this even on my own platform the few times when I've shown a little, revealed a little more of my body in a photo, and people have accused or whatever, or say like you're just doing that because you think it's going to sell something or you think it's going to get more eyes. I don't know if you have any thoughts or opinions on that, because it is something that has always frustrated me, that people assume a woman or anyone showing and standing in their power in their body is like it's a commodification, or it's like some sort of thing you're trying to sell.
Right, and I can totally speak to that. Thank you for asking.
Let's hear it, because
yeah, but okay, so I totally. It's a thing, right? Because I haven't taken many marketing and advertising classes, but I remember in junior high when we were learning about advertising, one of them was sex sells. Sex appeal is one of the biggest ways in order to sell things. And so I think people revert to that, right? We're also taught that to be sexual or sensual and awakened and living in that place is to be licentious, is to be what my friend calls it, like a flippant tart, or, is inviting other people to touch us, take advantage of us, invite just like advances, or even like people blame rape on women who show their bodies. And so that, for me, right, it's like, okay, well, you want it, it sells, but then also you're putting us living in our innate human sensuality and sexuality into this denigrated place, into this place where we're not allowed to be because it's unholy, or it is not allowed, right? Or it's less than, or like we're just like using our form in order to entice people. However, as a burlesque dancer and as a human who has always been really comfortable with my body, I've been doing ballet since I was really little, and like running around in tights and a leotard, which was practically naked, dressing with other humans. And my mom walked around naked all the time, like we just did. And she got made fun of for it, but like she and I did it together.
But what a gift to just have like such body acceptance from such a young age, like even with your own mother, like that's wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
sure.
remember like showering with my parents, and my parents are pretty conservative, all over, but um, that was just something that they never made me feel shame around my
Right.
body, um, except for,
Yeah.
in small ways. But so to round it back in,
Yeah.
so living in our own skin and being able to be proud of our skin is so important. And that is
Mm.
potentially the biggest thing that I want to convey with the
Mm.
Pussy Magic program, with my burlesque performances, is that you can express yourself in your own skin. And if you can embrace yourself and feel fully alive and confident naked in front of an audience, like that's when you know that you have that authenticity, that you have that like personal power, that you can be stripped raw and know that you are a mirror to everyone
Right.
else, right? That like we're the same, like our bodies are all different, but
Precisely.
we are the
Mm.
same. And that's a big reason why I put a lot of more naked and nude art up, because one, it really shows the whole form of the
Mm.
body. And as a dancer, like it shows that. But it also allows us to stand in utter confidence in ourselves and
Mm.
kind of give a big middle finger to the people who tell us that we're not allowed to be comfortable in our own skin and they're not allowed to see it. So
Oh
it's
my gosh. Yeah. I mean, well, what you're just saying about being comfortable in your own skin, I mean, I feel like, this digital journey of being visible and being seen, really, if you're really tuning into like how you're feeling about it, it's a lot about being comfortable in your own skin, like being able to
mm-hmm,
show up and in your photos, in your stories, in your videos, in the way that you write, and just be like, yeah, this is who I am, this is what I have to share. And whether or not you're
mm-hmm,
revealing skin or, showing, like you say, the full form of your body or whatever, there's an element of like getting comfortable in yourself, getting
mm-hmm.
comfortable in like who you are and what you're about. And so I see that so amplified through like the burlesque and through the way that you're bringing it through, And I'm curious, like, would you have like a suggestion for people who are like really trying to work with this piece around coming into, like you say, being comfortable in their own skin? Is there something someone could do, like as it relates to their creative expression or showing up, that would like really help them feel
Oh,
that? I
that's what the Pussy Magic program's
I
about.
bet, I bet, I bet, I
And some of the
bet.
juicy things, like I just had a ton of downloads last night and spent a lot
Uh-huh.
of time writing about like the exercises and the things that bring us into our body. And
Yeah.
through the whole pandemic, this is a lot of what I've been working on and sharing through my Patreon classes. Um,
Hmm.
and a really quick one right now, if you want to do one with me.
Okay.
Um,
Ooh, I feel on the spot. Okay.
And if you're watching, tuning in live, or afterwards, please just take a moment, okay? So this is simply a sensuality exercise to
Oh
get you
yeah,
into your
Rama,
body. And,
pussy magic. We're getting some good. She's like, what have we tuned into?
well, you've tuned
Pussy
into Pussy
magic.
Magic. Pussy Magic is the femme creatrix energy that we all have inside of us, no matter how our human body DNA expresses. So,
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, I
okay,
kind of
so,
interrupted. I got excited.
rah, rah. So take a deep breath in and start to attune all of your senses. Exhale out. Let your shoulders drop away. Feel the root, whether your feet, whether your seat, just really connecting magnetically into the ground and sprouting roots out into the soil. And at the same time, feel your spine elongating up nice and tall. And so here we feel our energetic body. So we tune into our sensuality of our sixth sense, if you will.
Mm.
On your next deep breath, start to smell the air and taste the air, breathing through your nose and your mouth. When we tune our senses in, we start to understand what our body is. Start to hear any of the sounds around you. It's coming in through this device, our connection, maybe the voices, the sounds around. Maybe you can hear my roommates upstairs. Take a deep breath in and exhale out, and just let the sounds and the tastes and the smells and this feeling of rooting and rising kind of consume everything. And just feel fully in your body. Now, with your fingertips, maybe on your legs or touching each other or a pencil, wherever they are, just let them start to move and send those signals of texture back up to your brain, sitting in your body. Just noticing, right? No judgments here, just really feeling your senses. And now open your eyeballs up. Feel, taste, smell, hear. And now see. See, look beyond this device, right? And look around it, right? We have this portal that we focus on, but now I want you to see the portal in context. To see the light quality, and then look back into this portal, and then back out. And so just notice the quality of light, the brightness of color, the sharpness or haziness. Just know that all of these senses are literal scientific biological instruments that help us know what our body is and where it is in space, right? So our senses give us this ability to know what's happening around us, as well as to help define who we are. And so living in our senses and bringing ourselves into this place helps us to know more about what our body is and to just accept what's going on without judgment, right? And that is standing there in lingerie in front of people and just tuning into your senses and feeling like you're part of everything. So let's take a big breath, last one, and just feel this big sensory, sensual expansion.
Wow.
Yum.
Bring me back to the most present moment and in my body. Wow. I feel like I just got like a beautiful download of what the Pussy Magic course is going to be like. It's going to be amazing. Wow. I love what you just did with this portal and then like tuning out and seeing the portal, basically our device, this like place we're transmitting right now, like in context of like what, like in context of actually like our orientation to it and the world around us. That was actually like a pretty powerful moment for me as someone who is, you know, on technology a lot during the day, like most of us. And just really like you can get, so you're in here, you know, and you're not so aware, like, oh, I'm still in this whole environment around, there's a whole environment around me that I exist in, my body's in, and wow.
Right, and there's all this space in the back and just all of it, yeah.
All around. It's not contained in here.
Right? But, you know, like, if you want a metaphor for that too, like we have the portal, right? But like, if I'm performing, the Pussy Magic program is so much about like being seen in your performance. So many people also like blinder into creating the performance, and the performance is whatever they see in front of them or whatever they're creating. But everything exists in context. Like art is part of the universe. And so if we want to create anything, we also have to contextualize it and like recognize our sensory input and our influences and our inspirations and like our forebears and the land we stand on, you know, and like really put it into context in order to live fully, to bring through, because then we can be seen as part of the web of the whole and not so much as just like this isolated bit that we have to define, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I've been thinking a lot about this too, of just like how these portals can be a lot of times just a snapshot if we don't really choose to like invite in that fullness, invite in the full context of who we are and what we're about, that this portal, the experience someone can have of us, can be very limited. And really what we have like in terms of the power of these spaces is to like open that portal, like you're saying, like really like showing this full spectrum of the experience. And I like how you're talking about this rooting into the senses and like allowing the full, like the fullness to come through, you know, allowing us to be in that full embodied moment and expression. And I feel like that little practice you just shared could be something that you could use if you're moving into creation, if you're moving into creating some content, or you're, you know, wanting to express some ideas or thoughts, like really getting into that full presence, like you kind of guided us into. Such a powerful way to bring through a transmission, or to really notice maybe even what wants to come through, you know?
Exactly. You know, it is like if we only try to like think with our mind, our brain, like we're disconnecting it, because your body is half of your brain, right? Your body is your subconscious mind. It like is all of the bits that like layer into it. And so if you're not in your body, like the thoughts don't come through. So a lot of the practices
if you're not in your body, the thoughts will not come through. That I think we should just like put a bookmark on that.
Bookmark. If you're not in your body, the thoughts won't come through. And so a big part of act creation and creation in general for me is this body thought dichotomy. You know, like I am a big proponent of stretch breaks and dance breaks and veil breaks and poi breaks, and just like letting yourself get back into your body. And a big part of the Pussy Magic program is letting you or like teaching us to sculpt a pathway to get out of our mind, get into our breath, get into our body, get into our context of the world, move our body through authentic movement and like dance class movement, you know. But then from this open channel, that's where the creation flows. So after we do our movement practice, we go in and we write and we create, and then like that's where it goes. Like just like for before a dance practice, you need to do a warm up, or like any workout, you have to warm up before you can really get to the meat of it. It's the same thing. You have to like warm up the whole being in order for the channel to flow.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I so feel that. I mean, that's definitely a huge part of my creation process, is getting some sort of movement in. And I definitely invite people always that I'm working with, my clients, everything, like to have some sort of practice that like tangibly puts you in your body, and like, you know, really like you're talking about, like being this channel, you know, letting the body be opened. And we have to create that space. Like we have to go in and create the space for that to happen, and have whatever tools and practices that we like to use to do that.
Exactly. And there's so many methods for it. You know, I know that you're very fluent in Sophia Tom's work. I work a lot with Sophia, my best friends, and her Temple Body Arts program works with that concept a lot as well. As does
game changer for me.
Right.
Definitely.
It's so huge. But it's also like the basis of dance therapy in a lot of ways. So a lot of the dance therapists that I've worked with and played with, and even my dance teachers when I was growing up, you know, like we would use this practice, not in the same kind of spiritual sense, but in that same creative sense. And so it's like, what am I trying to say? It's a tried and true method. So you know, like it's very human.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Let's see. I want to just see if I had any other questions. Oh, you know what? I had one. I want to kind of go back real quick. We should have a few more minutes, but I want to go back and, you know, ask you, you know, we kind of touched on, you know, creating these new platforms in the way that you've pivoted. We've touched a little bit on censorship. And I'm curious, like, do you have a vision of what this is going to look like in the future? Like this whole, like showing up in the digital spaces, being a creative specifically, and having to translate your creativity into these spaces. Like, do you feel like there's going to be a shift off of some of these platforms, or do you feel yourself wanting to direct your energy into like really specific places right now that you think are going to have more sustainability or longevity to them?
Fascinating.
I don't know if this has like been in there. It's been something I've been thinking about, you know.
Yeah, totally.
With like privacy changes and things like that, and Instagram and the way all of this technology changes and the fact that we don't own it and all of these things, it's like, oh, like, are we visioning something new? Are we feeling into something new? And we're still in
hmm
a pandemic.
And we're still in a pandemic. I know.
It's like all the things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have
Um,
any immediate thoughts that come through when you hear
yeah. I
that.
mean, what, gosh, I mean, my solution or my thought with the censorship and like all this stuff not really being owned by us is to let myself give more teasers on social media,
Hmm.
right? And because I know I was like putting so much out there for so long,
Right.
and so now because of the censorship, um, I'm trying to put more of like the teasers and the little bits in order to like have my community come engage with me in these safer spaces that
Yeah.
aren't censorship. So
Yeah.
I'm using the Patreon in that way. I'm shifting into, I mean, but it's hard because like if I host things on Vimeo or YouTube or Google Drive or Dropbox, like it's all also owned by those companies. And so it's just a whole thing, right? If we put it out there. So I'm kind of resigning to that and just like doing what works
Right.
with the intention of really grounding, using this time to ground into expanding the web and the network to really get this work out to people
Yes.
who need it and who want
Yes.
it. And to just let for this blessing that like regionality and place in space doesn't really matter right now. And so,
Yes.
like we can really cast the nets out wide and really connect with people all over geographic regions. And that's really
Yes.
cool.
Thank you
Um,
for speaking to that. Yeah.
because it's a really big blessing, honestly. And so I'm trying to like broaden that while centering into my own work.
Yeah.
I'm writing an oracle deck called the Atlas of Abundance.
Oh my
And
gosh. Wow.
I had this download the other day where the oracle deck, which I'm writing with my dear friends Meg and Amanda, and then making music and sound with it with Mason Giller and
Uh-huh.
my other amazing tech friends. So it's essentially going to be an oracle deck, like a deck of cards with a book. So it's a nonlinear artist book that you can choose your own adventure with the cards. And then each one of the themes will correspond to the curriculum and the topics that I teach about live.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
yeah, and then there'll be audio and visual components for each of them. So it's essentially like building a curriculum and like a manual
Mhm.
for a manual for when we can engage again live in order to have humans like have a tactile and like a homework component, if you want to put it that way, or somewhere to go deeper,
Wow.
as that will nourish the in-person interaction so we can just go deeper into it all. And so like that's my goal. So right now I'm like creating the content that I can share now, the like visual recordings of my voice, meditations,
Right.
worksheets and workbooks, online classes and all the essays for the book itself, drawing all
Yeah.
the images, and then laying the groundwork so that way when we can meet in person again, like for all the retreats, the Alice of Abundance will be a way for us to
To
engage with a
engage.
commonality. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
So
I love that. I love
my
how you're
vision.
thinking, yeah, that vision ahead of like, what is it going to be when we come back together? And how are
Hmm.
we going to like now weave back together after being apart for some time? And I like what you're saying about really taking what pieces can I share now? What things can I really bring forward now that people can tap into? And like you said, in this net that we can cast, right? Like a
Hmm.
lot of people get down on social media a lot, for all these various reasons we've already talked about. But in reality, like you said, it's a blessing too. I mean, there's a lot of people who need this. There's a
Hmm.
lot of people who need, your medicine and what you're sharing and
And
really
yours
this,
too.
yeah, I mean, everyone. That's why it's like we
Hmm.
all have something, and we do have this like incredibly powerful tool. There are limitations around it, yes, but we still have that ability to cast that net, to vision how our creativity is going to come through in new ways, whether it's online or when we meet again in person. And you're such a visionary, like truly, like the way, like you really are just someone who's just really inspires me, the way that you weave together everything that you're doing and these like really visionary new ways that, just like really push the edge, really push the status quo, really push up against the patriarchy and all of these things that like I feel like see, I love it. I love you, dear. You're so awesome. You get me so fired up. It's so great. Cool. Well, I'm like so grateful that you took some time, some of your precious time to be here and share some of your thoughts with me, with my audience. And I'm so happy that some of your people also joined here too. It was fun to see them. And then I just want you to share a little bit about the Pussy Magic program. If you want to give any people that info or like where they can connect with you in other ways, the Patreon and all of that. So if you want to give a little rundown of the goods.
Rundown.
Give us the rundown of the goods. We want it.
I really also appreciate you having me on. I love watching your journey, and I'm so glad we connected through Melissa Robin, who is on here.
I know.
And it means so much to, this is a direct correlation to like how this web works, right?
Totally.
Like we met online, and I feel like we talk really often and form really deep relationships in this way. And someday we'll meet in real life, and that's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to dance with you in real life someday. Oh my gosh. And
oh my gosh.
Pussy magic. Yeah.
So Pussy Magic. So the program is an online 6-month course that like brings all of this together, this online component, all of the things we're talking about, themes like magic, nature, rewilding, confidence, fuck the patriarchy, cultural appropriation and inspiration, and performance art, art as life, performance as ritual, burlesque, and like the forebears of burlesque, like her story, trans people in burlesque, like bringing all of this together so we get this really good basis in both like burlesque technique, like the bumps and grinds, but also the philosophy and the spiritual aspect of it. So we do that for about the first 3 months. We meet once a week, with 3 times a month, 1 week off, with like a social like hangout where we can just talk about whatever we want outside of class. And then there's burlesque classes on the side. It's going to be crazy, like deep dive. And then the last 3 months are creating a piece of performance art that comes from our heart, that comes from our body. And so then I guide you with my 2 decades plus of act creation knowledge in like everything from choosing the right music to like understanding choreography and improv to like sewing snaps on your costume to ordering rhinestones. And then we'll have a performance at the end of it, which will either be online or in person, depending what the world looks like in June. Yeah, maybe even part of both of those. So we'll get to do a lot of like peer review and feedback sessions one-on-one with each other and really practice it, and then create a piece of art that we feel really proud about and recognize that it's like not the end all. It's not like the last time we'll perform it, but that it's a living, working piece of art that we can then continue to bring into other things. I know Kat Sun's watching here. Kat Sun's in the program.
Ooh, all right, Kat Sun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be killer. And so, this is so big and so exciting for me. And I know a lot of humans on my Patreon. My Patreon is like you could call it like a fan club, but it's also like my class hub where, you can engage with the work. I like publish the oracle deck writings and kind of the musings of everything. Maybe you could call it my think tank. So it's like where I publish my ideas kind of uncensored on my performance videos, the classes, as they then get like snowballed into the bigger offerings I do. So it's a cool way to engage. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love it. Okay. So really amazing ways to connect with you. And your program starts on Monday, right? Like this is the last
Yeah.
week to get in there. So
Last
so
week.
I'm
Yep.
encouraging anyone tuning in to go check this out because it's super inspiring. This, yeah, I just think
And
it's amazing.
I have 2 BIPOC scholarships
Great.
available. And so if that's you or if that's someone you know, I really want to give back. They're 50% scholarships for $1,111 off. And so it's a really big,
Amazing.
yeah. So please tell humans, take advantage of that. I want
Yes.
to let as many people as they can get involved. So,
Wonderful. Great. Thank you
hmm
so much, Gia. It was so good to
oh,
talk to you today.
Erin, you're
Yeah.
such a bright light. Thank you
Oh,
for
so
doing
are you.
everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Yay. And I know we'll
hmm
stay connected here. And yeah, anyone looking to connect with Gia, all the info will be in the caption below, so you can just check that out. And yeah, let us know what you think. Thank you, Cat Son, for being here and tuning in.
And like San Andy, so many good humans. So, big love to you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
big love.
And
All right.
happy Moon Day.
Yeah, happy Moon Day, everyone. Okay. All right,
Okay.
love. Talk soon. Thanks,
Bye. So
everyone.
much
Bye.
love.
So much
Bye.
love.